Welcome back. I'm some guy you've never heard of, and this is the tale of Naarifin the Skald. We have here a party of stormcloaks. Oh, we have a wounded pilgrim. Right, here to have a healing potion.
My joy knows no bounds. Here, a little payment for your troubles.
Oh, why, thank you very much. You should, I don't know, travel in a group. And at least you should be armed out here. I should just go across over here. Man, I wonder what happened to Zora. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty sure she's winning the competition on who I'd like to marry at this point. I think I'm still... Am I still engaged to the Ashwood heiress? I think I am, but I don't know. Oh, does the road really go through this fort? Oh, okay. Hey, Durnavir, you want to help me with this? Excuse me. Oh, one of you is actually doing damage to me. Right. What is my other sword? Buried it. I accidentally unfavorited it. Okay. Oh, someone's shooting at us? Alright, thanks for the assistance, Durnavir. I never thought I would have come to a time when seeing the shadow of a dragon on the ground would be comforting. But knowing that it was Durnavir's shadow, it was. That's, interesting. Another ice wraith. Oh, I'm tired of these things. I suppose there were probably more bandits back there. Well, I'll let Durnavir have his fun. Oh, another battle. Great. There's a ton of zombies here. Hey, zombies. Friendly? Or at least non-combatant zombies. Okay. That's fine with me. I certainly do not mind not fighting them. Wolves. Hey, wolves. I wonder how Rigmore's doing these days. What, a Stormcloak fighting a troll? Oh, more Stormcloaks too, okay.
You are my prey today.
I will beat you to death.
Are those spiders fighting each other? Okay. Interesting. I haven't seen that before. Time is it? Okay. Almost midnight. Got it. Alright, I left you in the Hall of Countenance, right? Acumen. One's Attainment, right? No, this is Countenance. Okay.
I'm getting out of here.
Right. Come on then.
Is it upstairs? I guess so. Hey, Lucian.
Want to dance? Let's dance.
Hey, Mercy. All seem to think we're fighting something. Okay. Well, you know what? Alright guys, I'm gonna go sleep this off, okay? There's the exit. There's the exit. This should be attainment.
Never should have come here.
Alright guys, I'm gonna go to sleep and then hopefully you'll realize that we're not fighting anything. That usually seems to help.
I have many important things on my mind. Your concerns are not among them.
Good to see. It's always encouraging to see the younger generations embracing education.
Where are they? Lucian, Missy, where are you guys? There's Lucian.
How can I help you?
Follow me.
Lead the way.
Alright, have you
What's next?
seen Mercy? Where'd she go? Mercy. Seriously, where'd she go? Oh, I suppose I should read that book that I took from Isael's chest. Amongst the group of captives, an interesting individual attracted my attention. A very young female Khajiit stood out from the yelping multitude. It actually seems curious. I do wonder how it can still enjoy the world, which has by no means treated it kindly. Considering all that has happened to its clan, the death of the relatives, and so on, none of this has forced this young beast to withdraw into itself, unlike so many others of its kin. At that very moment, it dawned upon me. What if I test this specimen? Eventually, it could dispel my tedium. I bought the promising creature along with its younger siblings. Two were mere whelps, male and female. There was something effective in how it clasps them to its bosom. I wonder how these two could become useful to me. In my mansion, I assigned a room next to my own dormitory for that Mbrissi. I decided not to rename it, as the word sounds amusing. One of my Altmer maids is tasked with looking after the specimen. I had it washed and dressed as if it were a person. What a hilarious sight! Not all Altmer are evil. What a hilarious sight! Those beasts really dislike water, so the bath was quite a spectacle. Sadly, the process exposed several deficiencies, spoiling my game. It resembles a cat too much, all that shedding fur and the smell. Its cat-like behavior is hilarious to observe, and I plan to condition my new toy to exhibit more of it. But I should consider doing something about its physical traits. For now, I have ordered bathing it every day. Regrettably, it got used to water after a few months. Darn those butchers from faculty of surgeons in Cloud Rest. They are completely useless, all of them. To fully eliminate fur from the body, to get rid of feral aroma, no bloody way. Just tiny muzzle changes, and even that only with an obligatory pain relief. An obligatory one, pardon me, inadmissible. Inadmissible, okay. Patience. I have burrowed in our family archives and finally stumbled upon the volume of Grand Uncle Aaron Carr's writings about some tests concerning planting spies in different racial environments of Nirn. The tests involved appearance alteration of the subjects, no mere face sculpting, but full-scale deep body transformation, effectively allowing for race and sex change. To my greatest sorrow, either the effect was short-lasting or the alterations appeared to be substantially muddled, and the final results were virtually unpredictable, and considerable proportion of test subjects lost their lives during the ritual due to the pain and shock accompanying the procedure. I am determined to study it further. For starters, I decided to test the depth of its affection toward its kinfolk. It is said that Khajiit are extremely individualistic, to the point of complete egoism, but even my preliminary observations disprove it. Mrissi apparently cares for its little kinfolk, and tries to defend them. Well, soon I'll test the extent of those feelings. For 3 weeks in a row, I've been gaining the test subject's trust. I responded warmly to its questions, explaining that I have no connection to the extermination of its clan and the deaths of its relatives. Besides the cat-like behaviors, I've also been teaching it basic manners, rewarding progress by allowing it a few brief visits to its siblings who were being contained in an isolated outhouse. These visits do a great deal to draw my playthings together, as they are allowed no other methods of communication. The little male and female Khajiit whelps are housed separately, and Mrissi is permitted to speak only to me. It favors the growth of trust between me and the test subject. Although popular wisdom asserts that Khajiit are excessively self-reliant, they do suffer from loneliness, so it eagerly welcomes my company. Having determined and set the initial conditions, I am finally able to start the real amusement. It is essential for Mrissi to keep seeing me as a trustworthy person, at least if not a friendly one. This means that someone else must perform all the unpleasant tasks, not me. Good thing there's no reason for that someone to be real. That's how my imaginary brother Bariel was born. His name itself should become a synonym of terror, pain, and suffering toward the test subject. I began to mention Bariel while talking to Mrissi. He is a really atrocious person and, alas, not only my elder, but also far more powerful than me. The entertainment begins slowly. I often barely hold laughter inside, and I constantly have to hide my smile. I do enjoy the play as I tremble before Mrissi while pretending to hear Bariel's footsteps or voice, as if I'm concerned about him coming in. That funny feline thing even tries to console me. Oh, amusement. Finally, my imaginary brother has become a realistic threat for the test subject, at least as realistic as I need him to be. Today I rushed to Mrissi with a worried expression and acting like I was in a great hurry. Come on, oh, please, my brother is going insane. He's planning to kill your siblings. We have to stop him. Hurry up. I beg you. Surprisingly, it stood up and followed me at once without even a single question. I guess it understood the need for urgency. Yeah, you told it that someone was going to kill its siblings. We ran up to my thoroughly prepared stage, the mansion's lesser stateroom. All of the furniture had been removed, and a briefly highlighted door was clearly visible against the darkened walls. I don't know why, but my brother always leaves a chance for his prey. You can save them, I'm sure of it. Gruesome laughter rang out from the chamber's balcony. It's him, I cried in a panicked voice. Well, I have to admit that I've overreacted a bit, but the Khajiit in general are not the brightest minds of Nirn. And on top of that, this one was in a very unusual emotional station. The door over there. You can still save them. Hurry up. I cannot help you. He'd kill me. But you may have a chance. So please, please run. Save their lives. Mrissi loitered in indecision for only a brief moment, dashed for the door, opened it. The passage behind the door was long, long, very long. Illusions are my only weakness. The subject ran, but the hounds had already been released as soon as the door opened. There was a third small physical torture chamber after the passage, where its little kinsfolk were stunned and placed in the opposite corners. The dogs, 2 vicious wolfhounds, were restrained by magical shields, eager for the helpless prey. The hounds growled and scratched at the floor with their claws. The effect of the stun was just starting to wear off of the little brats. The tiny feline whining they made seemed to enliven the test subject for a blink. I believed it just didn't hear the dog's terrifying growls. At last, the moment I'd planned for so long. Mercy ran out of the passage into a small chamber about 24 yards from one wall to the other. Each of the little brats was situated 12 yards away from the test subject, each faced by a huge slavering dog, currently battering against the weakening magic shield. It took me some time to build up an appropriate hunger for living Khajiit flesh in those beasts, but now it was worth it. Here was the climax. Here was the moment of truth. The silly cat has no idea that I blocked its scent with a spell, so the dogs won't lay a claw on it, unlike the younger whelps. Which of the siblings, brother or sister? The dogs are obviously making their way through the shields, and Marisi has to make a choice, and make it now. Well, in such a situation, the first move for every creature with even a shred of wit would be to run for its life, but even if it tries to overcome its instincts, it'll only be able to save one. It has to make its choice. Who lives and who poignantly dies? That really exceeds all of my expectations. I'm still feeling a delightful shiver running through my body, just remembering that precious moment. Blink, it freezes still. Blink, stares to the right. Blink, to the left. Time stopped, then sudden understanding blooms, and I see its pupils widen. I didn't believe they could widen any further. Mrissi lingers one more moment, perhaps hoping to wake from the nightmare, perhaps waiting to be awakened from it. Suddenly, it dashes for the male whelp. Ha! The choice has been made. I almost feel it keeping the pain inside, gritting its teeth. Now it's time to act. Time for sorrow, and scrutiny will come later. The shields are down. Both dogs immediately rush for the corner, where the female whelp is crying in horror. I'm keeping them at bay, while only holding them back a little, just enough to stretch out this noteworthy scene, to make it last. The prey begins to yell at the top of its lungs. The screams are filled with terror. I guess the Khajiit indeed are too close to animals. Each time I hear that yelling, it reminds me of how regular cats cry when being squashed or skinned. You shouldn't know how cats sound when that happens. Anyway, the dogs start to tear the prey apart, and without my intervention, it'd be dead in just a blink. But here I am, staging the scene from my observation room, and the terrible screaming doesn't stop for even a moment, until, at last, the moment I've been waiting for. Mrissi loses itself, and pushing the saved male whelp aside, dashes for the hopeless female prey to help. It doesn't know that all its efforts are in vain. The little Khajiit bitch was being kept alive only by my good will. Well, keen will. And the moment Mrissi moved from its male sibling, I stopped pumping life energy into the female one. The body falls to the cold stone at her feet with impeccable timing, at almost the exact moment when she reaches it. As ruthless and rage-filled as the pure-blood Dremora Lord, Mrissi pounces upon one of the dogs. Khajiit claws and fangs can be deadly weapons, and the poor loyal wolfhound feels it badly right now. However, rage dims feline vision, and the test subject loses sight of the other dog, which immediately switches its aim and rushes for the just-saved male whelp. Mrissi's brother clings fast into its corner and cries. The test subject quickly realizes its mistake, and the horror of this realization freezes it in place. Astounding. The Khajiit, which had seemed paralyzed with shock and terror, breaks the self-cast spell and dashes for its male sibling, likely already knowing it's too late to save the whelp. I'm convinced it realizes the futility of its actions. Nevertheless, the second noble wolfhound is torn in two by its desperate feline attack. Then comes silence, except for Mrissi panting for breath, the sound almost as loud as a sea squall. It slowly looks around, the eyes becoming empty. It collapses. At long last, that was splendid. Even now a great excitement fills me inside and almost spills over. Such bright prospects. Ah, to oblivion with prospects. Such an unwitnessed pleasure. To create all that situation, to place the actors on their destined spots, and to pull the wires, making them move with a single purpose. To bring me that unprecedented delight, making love. Who cares about sex while having such a power in her possession? The power of making this naive feline female do anything. Absolute power. An irrepressible rejoicing after all those years of boredom and daily routine. I definitely want more. I need more. More. For 2 whole days I kept Mercy submerged in a healing sleep. Not because of its wounds, it had none to speak of, or mental injuries, I couldn't care less about them. It was I who really needed some time to recover and to mull over my future plans. I suppose that's exactly the feelings Anuel had right after birthing Ariel and creating time, feeling literally unmatched, which means even more amusement awaiting ahead. It woke up, time to raise the curtain for the second act. Putting on the saddest possible expression, I knocked at Mercy's door. I should, after all, demonstrate the manners that I've taught it myself, and entered the room, not waiting for an answer. But I also should clearly show who the master is. The test subject is sitting on its bed with vacuous eyes, hands embracing its knees, a pleasant sight, not a single movement in my direction. Behave yourself before your lady, you little stinker. Mercy, my dearest Mercy, I'm so sorry about all those horrible things. Can you hear me? I so pity your poor little sister. But you can be proud of yourself. You are a good girl. If it were not for you, your little brother would also be dead right now. And I got exactly the reaction I had been waiting for. Some kind of inner light started to show through its dull pupils. An empty shell that was sitting on the bed a moment ago began to fill with life. The same life that caught my eyes several long weeks ago. My brother? Is he alive? Such a subdued, timid voice. I swear I'm close to sensual climax once again. Mercy was sure he was no more. He's badly injured and he lost plenty of blood, but he hasn't gone to his last home yet. And that's because of you. Even my atrocious brother is enraptured by your bravery. No one will harm your little brother. I'm sad to say, though, the wounds are too deep to heal themselves. I might need your aid to help him recover. Mercy jumped up at once. She's ready. I began to explain. We'll have to conduct a very special ritual. Very, very special and extremely dangerous. Dangerous for you. I'll try to channel some parts of your vital energy to your brother. Mercy looked up at me. Please, she humbly begs you. Mistress, do everything that it takes. She's ready for anything. It prostrated itself before me and burst into tears. I reminded myself about pretending to be its big sister, and raised the sobbing thing, pressing it against my breast. Well, against my abdomen, to be more precise. By the gods, look at the stature difference. That's a genuine mother and child stage. Am I not a genius? Yes, my dearest Mercy. I can do it, but you will suffer. You see, the ritual is very painful, and that's not all. You'll change. Your face, your body will be changed forever. So much so that even your kinsfolk will accept you anymore. You'll become a stranger to them. They'll think you're a spy. Mercy doesn't care. Please. Mistress, be so kind. Save him. Save her brother. I've managed to modify the ritual. Test subject's prospect of death is considerably lowered to the point where I feel confident venturing my plaything and skipping the pain relief spells. I took Mercy into a small room with a curtained-off area in the corner. I had prepared a second operating theater for this. Upon entering the room, it looked at the corner and then back to me. Hopefully. Yes, you are right. Your brother is there, but you'd better not look at the poor thing right now. He's wrapped up for better treatment, so it nodded, satisfied with the explanation. I made it lie down on the stone platform, then tied its arms and legs, almost trembling with impatience. Actually, it would have been simple for me to soothe the transformation pain, but for the sake of deepening my own pleasure, I let it be. Brissi, you must endure if you want your little brother to walk again. It just clenched its teeth in response. Splendid. My God, how many more pages are there? I turned the lights off, leaving but a small lamp to highlight the platform. The test subject on top of it, limbs tied with straps, as a safety precaution. Then I started my work by performing several long and sophisticated incantations, which had not been heard under Nirn's sun or moons for whole centuries. Detailed specification and description of the full process noted in my 7th grimoire, Part 1b. Powers were called, and the energy flow surrounded the feline body. Marissi arched its back abruptly and screamed on top of its lungs. Oh, the pain, shifting joints, rescaling bones, tearing tissues. It should be unbearable in any circumstances, but for the test subject the pain lasted and lasted, all for my insatiable pleasure. Moreover, I had warped Marissi's sense of time with another spell, so for it the process was unfolding insufferably slow, all according to my calculations. Screams are replaced by hoarse groans. Blood drips from the bitten lips and tongue, a very fetching shade. Eyeballs nearly popped out, but it endures. I could bet it really believes it can't allow itself to give up, to retreat into the merciful oblivion of unconsciousness, simply because the male whelp's life depends on it. It goes on struggling, such a strong will for such a pitiful creature. The test subject's joints crackled, breaking out. Note to self, I should fix the limbs better next time. But the ritual was already coming to an end, and eventually the cat managed to endure it all. The exodus probability of the final stage was still around 30%, so I lowered it significantly with 3 proficient healing spells. Now the test subject needs a bit of rest to fully recover. The entity should accept its new form. Well, let's take a break. A week should be enough, I assume. I'm perfect. I'm marvelous. I'm the best of the best of the best. It took exactly 7 full days for the test subject to recover, and when I was informed that it had come to its senses, I immediately rushed for its bed. I entered the room and stood stock still, admiring the fruits of my efforts. The result has surpassed all my most ardent expectations. The mongrel retained the unique Khajiit features, by which I mean the tail, feline ears, as well as fur here and there, but in all other ways it has become extremely close to mare, and much more attractive than even the Olms breed. And to think, I made this out of a filthy Suthe. Note to self, modify the spell to change mare into lesser races, a way to get rid of unwanted rivals without traditional liquidation. I'd even say that it became rather cute. After coming of age, it might possibly called, well, beautiful. Or should I write she from now on? No. A beast is a beast, even after some body alterations. Anyway, even the soft, short fur covering almost all of its body doesn't cause me disgust as it used to. This body, my body, in so many ways, is dainty and savory. For a blink, I even thought of, well, I'm not sure. In any case, it looks like the pheromone glands I formed inside her work like a charm on me, so I bet they will make her irresistible to everybody else. Anyway, I have every reason to be proud of myself. As always, congratulations me. Mercy dashed to me with a cute, impatient, and ingratiating look on its face. It worked? Worked? Please, kind mistress, have you succeeded? Of course I succeeded, my child. It went even better than I expected. In her joy, the test subject threw itself upon my legs, thanking me effusively. It was an ineffable pleasure to put my arms around Mercy's shoulders, look deeply into the tear-stained eyes, lift its light body up to its feet, and the smell, or should I say the aroma. It's much better than those dirty Khajiits. Pretty sure Khajiit is already plural, but I don't know. It was just another species now. I had unleashed all of oblivion onto its head, and it was so grateful. Hilarious, even to make a cat laugh. The test subject miserably asked to let it see its recovering brother, but I flatly refused. I explained that the brother needs to recuperate and should not be disturbed. By the way, Mercy itself was in great need of further rest, and fine-tuning too. The final stage hasn't even begun yet. I went on with the next stage of my plan, Mercy's training. Through hard work and countless repetitions, I formed a genuine-looking little lady for my long-awaited event, and the final act of my precious play. The visual effect was truly magnificent to behold, a slender body clad in a tightly fitted dress, made of a rare thin fabric that magically changes its color at a slow pace, from dusky hyacinth to pale lilac. I'm guessing that's a type of flower I've never heard of. I'm planning to invite guests from all over the Dominion, people representing all the highest ranks of our noble Altmary society, though not as many as to diminish the intimacy of the event. So much to do, so little time. At long last, the guests were all gathered, and we could begin the festivities. After an opulent dinner, everyone was ready to take delight in the main course I prepared, and I wouldn't make them wait for too long. One of my personal guards was helping Mercy not to trip over her long skirts as she was descending the stairs. A marvelous impression, a delicate, slender girl, well, almost a girl, hanging onto an arm of a veteran warrior towering above her. A 7-foot-tall, virile-looking fighter clad in full armor, with a scarred and manly face under his nasal helmet. The audience was looking all over them with curiosity and surprise. Time for me to go on stage. It was a night of my triumph, again. Please allow me to introduce to you my protege, young Mercy the Khajiit. I suppose you've noticed several minor details that differentiate it from other specimens of its kin. Also, I would like to humbly draw your attention to this very affecting moment. Soon we will have the delight of seeing a family reunion, a younger brother finally reunited with the elder sister. The male Khajiit whelp was literally stopped at death's door by the precious collaboration of myself and this young braveheart. Brutally bitten all over and almost torn apart by wolfhounds, the whelp was finally brought back to life, thanks to the active participation of its older sister. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will all witness this exciting reunion. It was a moment worth waiting for. Mercy's face was radiant with hope and a sweet, timid happiness, in remarkable contrast to the long, pompous faces of the guests, I must admit. During my exalted speech, I caught quite a few uncomprehending looks from the audience. Luckily for me, I have quite a reputation amongst the highest ranks of the Dominion, so my guests were both curious and cautious enough to let me reach the end of this ridiculous speech, and while they looked a bit perplexed, they definitely did not seem disappointed. Finally, trumpets blared. 2 guards brought in a carved wooden screen, placing it before a small door at Mercy's right side. One more blare, much louder this time, and the door behind the screen was opened. Mercy, my dearest, at long last embrace your beloved brother. The test subject ran to the door in a hurry. I nodded, and the screen was removed at once. Scream. Well, I could swear there was a shuddering scream, but I can't really recall it clearly. Too high-pitched, maybe. The audience was also deafened a bit, but in a moment the guests got the scream of the joke, and to my great pleasure found it to be witty enough. Several dozen guests began to laugh. The highborn are always discreet, as is demanded by both our nature and our social decency. But this time the audience was not able to hold back, nor did they want to. Marissy had dropped down on its knees and frozen in place. Of course the little brat was dead. The thing Marissy had just about to embrace contained, well, a significant part of that male Khajiit bulb, as well as a pair of its small sister's limbs. For that bit of extra flair, risen undead, with the mouth sewed shut, but it still contained a tiny sparkle of what it was while living. I suppose the thing recognized Marissy somehow, because it tried to crawl up to it, only managing to drag itself a little bit closer. Swaddled in its white veil, trembling, muttering quietly, the thing really was unforgettable. The only reproof I can have for myself, the putrid smell. Too much time had elapsed since the previous act of my play, and no incense could possibly soothe that stench. Nevertheless, everyone was admiring the thing, paying no mind to Marissy, including me and, sadly, the guards. Note to self, to think of an appropriate punishment for the guards as soon as I finish these writings today. Anyway, the ungrateful creature suddenly shook off her numbness, ran up to the closest guard, snatched a short sword out of its scabbard, and decapitated the wretched creation of mine in a flash. I almost caught the risen brat's eye, which was looking at Marissy with something that could even be called gratitude, if I didn't know for sure that the dead are never grateful to the living. Deep in these thoughts, I raised my own eyes just to see the furious little skunk rushing for me, pointing the sword's tip at my throat. Alas, brave Were Khajiit, the guards have finally come to their senses and caught you almost in midair. The guests, to my great relief, went on laughing and apparently considered this all to be a vital part of the show. Well, I have no intention of disappointing them. The test subject thrashed, twitched, and clawed in an attempt to escape the guard's clutches, but both its strength and will eventually failed it. It hung limply in their arms, having dropped the sword, and just stared at the pile of bones, flesh, and cloth, the last fetid remains of its family. Well, this night was a definite success. Since then, Marissy has ceased to talk, eat, drink, and even sleep, as far as I can tell. But the plaything I've constructed was too marvelous to discard after a single event. No, I am going to lose her. No way am I going to lose her. It was not a great deal of trouble to find a remedy, for a mage as great as myself, I mean. The sarcophagus incantation is a superb tool to erase someone's memory, so I put the test subject under the spell. I have so many plans for it. The spell was successful, but to my great surprise, some scraps of the erased memory remain in Marissy's mind. Those scraps apparently torment it, preventing it from being as vivid and cheerful as it used to be before the event. The test subject have become a pitiful copy of itself. Not good. I should consider moving to a new place, somewhere completely different than the Somerset area. I've wanted to test excessive cold treatment, so that God's forsaken Skyrim may be worth a try. Not one of those stinking beasts deserves to live. Not a single one, except the one I have already transformed to my amusement and glory, of course. Damn, I'm still infuriated. There was an old Khajiit female slave in the mansion, and I decided to use her to cheer Marissy up a bit. Keeping in mind another amusement scheme, of course. I worked out an escape plan, just to let Marissy feel a little freedom. Just enough to light her fire up again. So I wrote a letter and put some traveling junk into a satchel. I didn't want Marissy to walk too far from me. I just wanted to inspire it a bit. I surely didn't intend to let the test subject roam around the mansion absolutely free. So I ordered my assistant to work out an exclusive spell revealing Marissy's location at any time. Note, enclosed in 7th Grimoire. By the way, who could think that a guard called up to be punished because of his sluggishness would show such an talent, revealing both his intellect and endurance. Note to self, should pay more attention to those close to me. Even looking ignoble, they might become quite useful in so many ways. The old Khajiit hag should have passed the letter to Mrissi. I had no doubt the test subject would gladly take the chance to escape from its hateful surroundings. But the old rotter dared to spoil everything. Everything. It felt sorry for the little milady. Curse it. It substituted my satchel for another one, wrote another letter, and let the test subject escape for real. The day before the tracking spell was ready. The plan blew up in my face, and I will have a very, very long time in the cellar with the cursed old hag. The ritual to create a spell that accurately points the location of an individual requires the test subject itself to be present on the platform, and without Mrissi around, I can only use her scanty belongings, thus making the spell very inaccurate and unreliable. At least my new assistant shows some brightness and gets as much information from the spell as possible. Reconnaissance parties are already casing the area. Sooner or later, Mrissi will be mine again. Oh, the movement I've so long awaited. I have the whole oblivion to show you, my little milady. What a sick piece of work. And thank you very much for tuning in and listening to that very long journal. This has been the tale of Naarifin the Skald, and I am some guy you've never heard of. Unless, of course, you have.